Amber Heard walked through Hollywood like a woman made of smoke. Beautiful, hard to hold, impossible to understand. But behind the red carpet smiles and carefully rehearsed interviews, there were files that almost no one knew about. Private recordings, hidden notes, messages she never meant the public to hear. And the first tape, the one insiders whispered about, was recorded the night everything began to fall apart. It was late 2015. Amber was in her penthouse, pacing back and forth as if she was trapped in a cage made of her own thoughts. She hit record on her phone, not for safety, not for evidence, but because she needed to rehearse, to practice a version of events she could later deliver flawlessly. Her voice in the recording was calm, almost cold. You have to stay composed. You have to make them believe you. They always believe the man first, so make sure you speak first. She took a breath, then continued. You push him until he breaks. Then they'll see the side of him you need them to see. The audio was never meant to leave her phone. It was a private playbook, a strategy session with herself. And when investigators later heard it, leaked by someone who once trusted her, it raised more questions than answers. Hollywood always loved a scandal, but this was different. This was psychological chess. Amber was planning every word, every tear, every quote she would later give to magazines and talk shows. And that was only the first recording. The second file, the one no one played in court, was stranger. It was her talking to someone unnamed, someone she called the fixer. If the audio leaks, she said softly, blame stress, blame trauma, blame him. The fixer replied, but if he releases his recordings, Amber interrupted with a sharp, control breath. He won't. He doesn't want to ruin himself. I know him. I know how far he'll go and how far he won't. She sounded confident. Too confident. As if she had studied Johnny Depp more like a character than a partner. These recordings would never reach the courtroom. Too risky. Too revealing. They lived only in the shadows. Circulated among insiders. Feared by lawyers. Whispered about by journalists who couldn't confirm their authenticity. But people close to Amber said one thing. She always recorded. Every argument. Every fight. Every tear. Hers or his. Not for evidence. For control. And Hollywood had no idea what was coming. Amber Heard's public image had always been polished, shaped, and edited long before her words reached the audience. But when journalists started comparing her interviews from 2016, 2018, and 2020, something caught their attention. The stories didn't match. Not even close. Off camera, Amber rehearsed every emotion. On camera, she performed them. Her PR team coached her relentlessly, but even they couldn't keep up with the shifting timelines, the evolving details, and the contradictions that slipped through the cracks. The second folder in the so-called secret files contained raw interview footage, moments that the public never saw, moments where the mask slipped. In one unaired clip from a morning show, Amber froze mid-sentence. The producer, thinking she needed a moment, whispered, "Take your time." But she didn't need time. She needed the story. She glanced at her handler off camera and whispered sharply, "Which version did we agree on for this outlet? The staircase or the kitchen?" The handler raised two fingers. "Kitchen." Amber nodded, exhaled softly, then turned back to the camera with eyes full of rehearsed fear. "It happened in the kitchen," she said, perfectly steady. "I remember the sound of glass." That line aired on national TV. The moment before it, the confusion, the consultation, never did. And that was just one example. In another recording, taken during preparation for a magazine interview, her voice was different, lighter, almost amused. "The bruise photos?" she asked the stylist while looking at herself in the mirror. "Which ones are the most convincing?" The stylist stayed silent. "Come on," Amber laughed softly. "We need impact." They don't respond to subtlety. She wasn't angry. She wasn't panicked. She was strategizing. The contradictions became so numerous that even veteran Hollywood reporters whispered about it privately. Every time she talks, the story grows legs. Timelines move. Details shift. It's like she's rewriting the script in real time. Amber's team blamed nerves, trauma, stress, anything that could explain the inconsistencies. But deep inside the second folder were the original clips, unedited, unchanged and impossible to deny. There was one in particular that insiders still talk about. A 2020 interview rehearsal. Amber sat in a chair, eyes cold, posture perfect. "People believe pain," she said to the camera operator, "especially when it comes from a woman they think is fragile." The operator didn't respond. Amber smiled slightly, too slightly. "You don't need to be truthful," she continued. "You just need to be believable." That line never made it out of the rehearsal room. It was erased, buried, never intended for daylight. But the copy in the secret file remained, unchanged, uncut, and terrifying in its clarity. Hollywood still didn't know the full story. Not yet. If the first two folders revealed cracks in Amber Heard's public persona, the third folder, quietly passed between insiders like contraband, exposed something deeper, something darker. It showed a pattern, a strategy, a playbook she used long before the trial began. The documents weren't written like diary entries. They were written like instructions. Each page was typed, clean, organized into categories. Triggers, responses, escalations, recoveries. It didn't read like the thoughts of someone overwhelmed by chaos. It read like the work of someone designing it. One page in particular sent chills through anyone who saw it. At the top in bold, Step 1. Create the moment. Below it, bullet points. Raise voice slowly. Interrupt repeatedly. Reframe his words. Bring up old fights. Push emotional buttons. Make him lose composure. Next page. Step 2. Record only the break. A line under it read, "The beginning does not matter. Only the reaction." Investigators who later reviewed the notes claimed they weren't technically incriminating. No confession, no direct admission. But psychologically, they painted a picture of someone who wasn't reacting to conflict. She was engineering it. There were also messages saved as screenshots, text she drafted but never sent. One read, "If he apologizes, record it. If he cries, save it. If he gets angry, use it. Every emotion is leverage." Another page contained a list titled, "How to Control the Narrative." It included chilling lines. Cry first. Speak longer. Don't let him finish a sentence. Look down often. Touch your face. Use legal words casually. Pattern, cycle, incident. When in doubt, pause, breathe, break eye contact. And then, at the bottom, a handwritten note. They will believe the version you give them first. But the most disturbing video in the third folder was a private moment filmed by Amber herself. Late at night, sitting in dim light, speaking straight into the camera, almost like a confession, but without guilt. Her voice was low, collected. "People think manipulation is loud," she said. "But real manipulation? It's quiet. It's gentle. It looks like fear." She tilted her head, studying her own reflection on the screen. "If you cry, they comfort you. If you shake, they protect you. If you soften your voice, they lean in closer." She paused. They never questioned the woman who cries first. There was no anger in her voice, no pain, just calculation. What unsettled Hollywood most was not what she said, but how calm she was saying it. Like someone explaining a skill they had spent years perfecting. Like someone who knew exactly what they were doing. And the deeper you went into the folder, the clearer the picture became. Amber didn't react to chaos. She orchestrated it. The audios that never reached the courtroom, asterisk, asterisk. If the first three folders showed how Amber shaped her narrative, the fourth folder revealed the moments she tried hardest to erase. These were the audios, the full versions, the uncut ones, the recordings that were never meant to see daylight. Not the trimmed clips released to the public. Not the courtroom-selected snippets. But the raw, unfiltered arguments that painted a very different picture. Hollywood insiders claimed these recordings came from a former assistant, someone who had access to Amber's phone backups, someone who got tired of being afraid of her. The first audio began with Amber's voice, sharp, irritated, impatient. "Stop telling people I hit you. I didn't hit you. I tapped you. There's a difference." She laughed. Not kindly. "You're such a baby, Johnny. Grow up." This part was familiar, but the next part wasn't. Amber whispered, as if she didn't know the phone was still recording. "He wouldn't dare release that. He knows it makes him look weak." Then more softly, "He's too proud to ever admit I controlled him." The assistant who leaked the file later said, that whisper told her everything. Another recording, one completely unknown to the public, captured an argument that started quietly but escalated with terrifying speed. Amber's tone was icy. "You think they'll believe you? You think the world loves you enough? They'll turn on you in a second." Johnny's voice, calm, tired, worn. "I don't want to fight." Amber responded instantly, almost rehearsed. "Then fight back. Give me something real to work with." The room went silent. You could hear her footsteps, fast, deliberate. Then a thud, then a crash, followed by her voice. "See what you made me do? You make me crazy." But the most disturbing audio in the entire folder wasn't loud. It wasn't violent. It wasn't explosive. It was a recording from a quiet night at home. No yelling, no chaos. Just Amber speaking softly, almost gently, too gently. "One day, all of this will be yours to explain," she whispered. "But I'll own the narrative. You know that, right?" "I always do." She sighed, as if amused by her own confidence. People love a broken woman. They eat it up like candy. In the background, you could hear Johnny walking away. He didn't reply. He didn't fight. He didn't even raise his voice. And Amber? Amber whispered one last line into the mic. "Silence makes you guilty. Not me." That recording never made it to court. Too manipulative. Too revealing. Too dangerous. But the copy in the fourth folder survived. And once Hollywood insiders heard it, they stopped asking whether Amber was misunderstood and started asking what else she hid. If the first four folders revealed Amber Heard's tactics, contradictions, and hidden audios, the fifth folder exposed what she worked hardest to bury. The things she never said publicly, never admitted privately, and never wanted Hollywood to confirm. These weren't recordings or interview clips. They were emails, message drafts, voice notes, and private instructions exchanged between Amber and the people she trusted most. Her PR strategists, image consultants, and mysterious fixer who had been whispering in the background long before the scandal exploded. At the top of the fifth folder was an email marked confidential. Subject line: "If the narrative slips." The body of the email was short, clinical, and chilling. "If he releases full audio, pivot to trauma memory. If bruises are questioned, pivot to lighting. If timelines conflict, pivot to stress response. If public turns, pivot to survivor solidarity. Narrative must remain fluid. Truth does not need to be fixed. It needs to be effective." Signed, C. Rothwell, Public Relations Director. Investigators later claimed they couldn't verify the sender, but insiders whispered that the style matched Amber's team exactly. Another document, a note Amber wrote to herself, was found in the same folder. A list of fears, but written like action points. What must not come out? 2015 recordings, full versions. NYC incident, no photos. Broken glass timeline inconsistent. Pre-fight texts, delete old backups. Rehearsal clips, ask team to wipe devices. Knows too much, keep her close. Press outreach must stay emotional, not factual. But the voice note attached to that list was worse. Amber's voice was steady, practical. "The truth doesn't matter if people feel sorry for you first." Then she added, in a tone so calm it unnerved everyone who heard it, "People don't question a victim. They defend her." There was no trembling, no pain, no fear, just strategy. One especially damning message was a long text to her fixer, saved as a screenshot. "We need every outlet to run the same angle. The chaos, the panic, the fear. They need to feel it. Facts won't save me. Emotion will." Followed by another line. "If the legal team hesitates, remind them I don't need proof. I need sympathy." Another screenshot showed an unsent message to her sister. "If this goes south, you'll have to back me. Don't freeze up like last time." Her sister never received it, but the draft remained. The final document in the folder was a memo titled, "Post-Trial Damage Control." It listed steps to reframe her image. Lean into vulnerability. Avoid specifics. Redirect blame to media pressure. Use humanitarian angle whenever possible. If confronted, cry. Not too much, just enough. Always ask for privacy. Then break it yourself. Hollywood insiders said that memo proved one thing. Amber wasn't reacting to the fallout. She was preparing for it. Every move, every statement, every appearance. It wasn't survival. It was strategy. And the more you read, the clearer it became. Amber wasn't just protecting herself from Hollywood. She was trying to control it, to bend it, shape it, manipulate it. And for a long time, it worked. The file that terrified everyone. The sixth and final folder was different. No labels, no timestamps, no notes. Just one single video file buried inside a hidden directory, unnamed, untagged, and encrypted so tightly it took weeks for insiders to open it. When they finally did, they understood immediately why Amber never wanted this recording to surface. The video began with a shaky frame. Amber sitting cross-legged on the floor of her penthouse, hair pulled back, no makeup, wearing an oversized gray sweater. It wasn't an interview rehearsal. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't a message for her PR team. It was Amber talking to herself. The camera was propped against a stack of books, pointed directly at her face. She stared into the lens for almost 10 seconds without blinking, as if deciding whether to speak at all. Then, in a quiet, steady voice, she began. "You know what the world doesn't understand?" she said. "Truth is useless without a good story." She leaned closer, her expression strangely calm. "People think you win with evidence. You don't. You win with emotion. You win with performance." She paused, running her thumb across her knuckles. Johnny always thought honesty was enough. He never understood the audience. A faint smile crossed her face, small, controlled, unsettling. "But I did." Then the tone shifted. Her voice dropped, lower, more introspective. "Everyone wants to believe the woman. It's instinct. One tear, one trembling breath, and they stop thinking." She tapped the floor lightly with her fingers, as if keeping time with her thoughts. "The first time I realized how easy it was, I felt powerful." She didn't smile. She didn't look proud. She just stated it like a fact. The camera captured something human for a split second. Exhaustion, maybe even fear, but it disappeared as quickly as it came. "If he had left first," she whispered, "none of this would have been necessary." Then she looked directly into the lens. Directly, as if speaking to the future. "One day someone will dig through all of this. They'll see the recordings, the drafts, the contradictions, and they'll think they know me." A pause, a long one, but they won't. Her voice softened to a whisper. "Because the real truth is simple. I became who the world needed me to be, even if it wasn't real." She sat back, exhaled slowly, and pressed her palms together. "They'll remember me as whatever story wins, not who I actually am." The video ended abruptly. No goodbye, no explanation, just a screen fading to black. Hollywood insiders who viewed the file said the same thing after watching it. It wasn't the admissions that terrified them. It wasn't the manipulation. It wasn't even the cold self-awareness. It was the realization that Amber believed every word. Not because it was true, but because she decided it was. And with that, the secret files came to an end. A chilling portrait of a woman who didn't just survive Hollywood's story machine. She learned how to run it.